burnt in Kitui County in the face of the escalating charcoal ban row. The Governor Kitui Ngilu said there'll be no turning back on the order. She was recently summoned by the NCIC to respond to allegations that she incited youth to ban lorries transporting charcoal in the county. At this moment, we'd like to discuss the role of NCIC in fostering cohesion, but we also want to ask you to get engaged in this process by talking to us. What do you think needs to be done to sort out the charcoal ban row that has now come up with all sorts of headlines? We saw reactions from youths on Waititu. We know that yesterday another vehicle was burnt in Kitui County. What do you think is the solution? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. 22422 is our SMS line. And on social media as well, use the hashtag #CitizenExtra, and I'll try and read some of your messages shortly. But joining us in studio is the CEO of NCIC, Hassan Mohammed. Hassan Mohammed, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Many thanks indeed for finding time to be here with us.
I'm glad to be here.
First things first, Kitui Governor was before you yesterday. She presented herself to your office together with NASACO Principal Kalonzo Musyoka. What did she tell you as she defended herself against these allegations?
She was there the day before yesterday. She came and we had summoned her so that she can give her side of the story. We normally give a chance to those people whom we are investigating so that they can tell us their side of the story. So Honorable Ngilu came, she spoke to our people, and she went away. I don't think she recorded a statement, but that is enough for us because she was supposed to explain herself.
Were you satisfied with her response?
Well,
or your officers, I don't know, did you sit in that meeting or
no, but I have the report. She has not written any, she has not recorded any statement. But that is her right. I mean, somebody can refuse to record a statement.
Okay.
So for us, we are continuing with the investigations, and we are about to conclude the investigations.
Okay, so you're continuing with the because I was about to ask you what next. After this, is there anyone else that you need to bring in?
No, we have already recorded statements from many people. So it's almost complete. Our file is almost complete, and I think in the next 1 or 2 days we will then forward the file to the Director of Public Prosecution. I don't want to dwell so much on the case because it's an ongoing investigation.
Okay.
But it's important for Kenyans to know that we have almost concluded the investigations, and the files will be going in the next 1 or 2 days. We'll be now forwarding the files to the Director of Public Prosecution, because that is the next stage.
You don't need another meeting with the governor. What you had with her on Monday, according to your team, was sufficient?
No, we don't need another session, because we gave her a chance to come, and she came.
Okay.
So if she didn't want to record a statement, that is within her right.
Okay.
Yes.
There are those who have raised concerns, and I don't know whether this was one of the questions you posed to her, why she has not publicly addressed the same youth that we are seeing burning these vehicles and told them, as much as the ban is in effect, let the police be the ones to enforce the ban, not the youth. Was she put to task over those?
No, you see, we are not concerned with some of those issues because partly because we're dealing with some specific issue, especially utterances which are against the NCI Act, and then incitement to violence. So I know that we didn't have enough session with Honorable Ngilu because she didn't want to record a statement. She was not very happy with what we confronted her with. So we did not go into that what you're asking about now.
Whether you're able to find out whether she has now gone back to the people of Kitui and told them, listen, I know the order is there. Some of those things you may not have.
No, we didn't. But we saw them on TV, and they seem to portray that they are still not remorseful.
We actually have. Can we play that clip from yesterday? I think we do have that picture of the pro box that was burnt. Clearly a sign that the youth still have. They still feel that it is within their right to do so. That they have been given the order. Yes, I think we can have that coming up in just a bit. Let's see that picture. Okay, we seem to have a problem getting it. We'll come back to that.
Sorry, I think I want to say that it is wrong for the youth to take the law into their own hands.
Okay.
I mean, even if the law has been breached by the charcoal dealers, there is a way of dealing with these people. And Charity Ngilu or any other governor, they have the inspectorate with them. They can report to the police, and action will be taken. But you can't just go. I mean, youth cannot just go about banning.
Take the law into
into their own hands. We are not saying that we are connecting That with Honorable Ngilu. We don't know whether she's the one.
Again, you're saying you need to finish up your report.
Yes, that's what we want to do. But we are telling the youth it is wrong. It's impunity. You can't take the law into your own hands. Secondly, I want to just reiterate here and say while I'm here that I think this is people are taking devolution in the wrong way. Devolution did not mean that we create ethnic enclaves. It did not mean that dominant groups will own the counties. We have 47 governments, but we don't have 47 countries. We have only one country. So people can move from for example, Kitui, which they do, and go and work in Garissa. Thousands of them
and
are
enjoy the same rights.
Yeah, and enjoy. As long as they don't break the law, you can go there and do whatever business you want to do. So this business of, I think, new business of governors and what, and I had others also, another one or two.
I'm going to talk about another one shortly, but
yes,
go ahead. You heard.
Who are telling people that they are foreigners in another county. I think that is wrong.
Okay, and these are some of the images. There's that probox that was torched just yesterday by youths in Kitui County, and this is not the first vehicle that's been set ablaze there. It was, again, they say that it was suspected that the probox was carrying charcoal or in the business of transporting charcoal from one part of the county to the other, and these are worrying pictures because one then wonders, how long will this go on? And I hate to ask a question like this. Does someone have to die before the nation wakes up and says, stop, we are one people, why is this happening, why does this have to happen?
No, I think this should not happen. It should not be allowed to happen. I don't know whether the law enforcement officers were nearby at that time, but I believe they will take action against the people who did that. Just like they did in the other case. I know that when the lorry was banned, some people were taken to court in Embu, and I think their mention was yesterday, I think, again. And so action has been taken
including staff, one or two staff members of the Kitui County government.
Action has been taken against them. And I believe the people who did this also, the police will find the people who did this, and action will be taken, so that we can deter others from doing this. The same way we should deter people from protesting, in the roads and deflating tires and whatnot, and disrupting traffic. Because Wahiga, you know that people have the right to protest, yes, but your rights end where the rights of the other people begin. So you can protest, but you don't have to destroy people's property. You don't have to interfere with other people's rights. So unfortunately in Kenya, people think that protesting means that you have to be violent so that people can hear you and take action. I mean, it is wrong the way people do things in this country.
When you summon leaders of the caliber of a governor, etc., and they show up with national leaders at your offices, how does that hinder your work? Does it make it more complicated when those leaders now are issuing press statements? For example, we saw Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka issuing a statement just outside or within your offices. Does that not intimidate your officers?
This is something we have talked about. For us, it doesn't intimidate us because our officers will be doing their work and they are professionals. The investigators we have are people who are experienced, who have done investigations for many years. But this is something we have talked about, glorifying people whom we think are committing some offense. Whom you're investigating. Yes. It's not just ourselves. When people are, for example, invited to the CID director's place at Kiambu Road, you'll find hundreds of people going with them. And again, we have seen, and sometimes back, I remember our chairman went to a function in Laikipia. And the people there were asking for somebody whom we are investigating to address them. Because these people are treated as defenders of the community, which should not be the case, I think. But you don't think it will hinder the work of your officers? No. Intimidation, fear? It doesn't. It shouldn't intimidate us. It doesn't intimidate. It shouldn't, or it doesn't? It doesn't intimidate us. It doesn't intimidate you. We will do our work and as is required by the law. Okay. I want to talk about another governor who has been very vocal about the matter of Kitui County. This is Kiambu Governor Waititu. He has criticized his Kitui counterpart over the burning of the lorry that was ferrying charcoal. He says Ngilu should not incite the public to take the law into their own hands. Yet he has another case on his hands. I want to read you a headline from the Star newspaper on the 24th of January 2018. Kiambu Governor Waititu is under investigation over his remarks that people from other ethnic communities, this is a paper article, not my own words,
over remarks that people from other ethnic communities should not seek leadership positions in the county. Your chairperson responded and said the utterances went against the spirit of the Constitution, which advocates for non-discrimination of Kenyans on tribal lines. Has Governor Waititu recorded a statement with NCIC?
Well, let me say, when the chairman was giving the statement,
yes,
I think he was ominous. He told Governor Waititu that his people are everywhere in this country, and that I don't think he would be happy to see his people being chased away from other counties, and therefore he should not be asking other Kenyans who are coming to his county or calling them foreigners. Now you can see exactly what is happening now. He is condemning another governor while he himself in his county was doing something which, you know, is similar to what the other governor is doing, only that this one is more violent than this other issue. And as far as this Governor Waititu
are you investigating?
Yes, we are investigating. Unfortunately, we have not been able to get witnesses to come forward. One of the things we have is, one of the people we have asked to come over is a journalist who reported that issue. I think they have declined.
They have declined?
Yes, the Nation newspaper, he works, I think, for the Nation newspaper, so we have received a letter saying that he was just doing the work in his capacity as a journalist, so he has declined. And this, Wahiga, I think is one of the things also which I wanted to bring out, that journalists are Kenyans like any others, and therefore they should be able to help. I know that they will get problems, maybe they don't, next time they go and cover,
they might fear that their lives might be in danger.
Yes, but I think if you cover something, if you as a journalist cover, and if a media station covers something like that, then they should be able to own up. Otherwise, the media station and the journalist can also be charged under Section 62 of the National Cohesion Integration Act, which is talks about ethnic contempt, but it talks about the role of the newspapers and the journalists.
Okay. Well, we haven't seen you moving to court to charge any journalists. So
no, we have not, because we have been avoiding. You know, once we start charging journalists,
you become enemies of the media.
And the media, people will start saying that we are gagging the media, which we didn't want to do.
Okay.
But I can assure you, in this case, we may do something drastic.
In this case.
Yes.
So let me ask you, put yourself in the shoes of people of Kitui County. Their governor allegedly makes some statement. She's asked to appear before NCIC. A Kiambu governor allegedly makes another statement. We have not seen him appearing at the NCIC. We haven't seen someone. Won't the people of Kitui County feel, how come our governor has to go to NCIC?
No. We have summoned. I think it must be
Governor Waititu.
On our Twitter.
When did you summon him?
It must be on our Twitter handle today or yesterday.
Okay.
Because first of all, we started with the investigations. Even in the case of Charity Ngilu, it took us about 2 weeks, I think, for us to summon her.
Okay.
First of all, we had to have the facts. We had to have a few witnesses and what before we summon you. You know, we don't just start with summons, because when we start with the summons and then we start investigating, it's not a good way of doing things.
Okay.
So normally we start the investigations. If there are utterances, then we get the utterances, and we have people who can own up to those utterances, and then we call the person. So we have invited Honorable
Governor Waititu.
Governor Waititu.
If he does not show up, what then?
If he doesn't show up, then we'll continue with the investigations.
How far is his case? You've told us for Governor Ngilu you expect a report to be out in the next 2 days, the office of the DPP.
Yes, it depends on whether we'll get, you know, there are a lot of ingredients. There have to be witnesses and whatnot. So that's what is going to determine the pace or what action we're going to take.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can assure Kenyans that there's no selective justice.
No.
Governors from counties that are, seem to be friendly to the government will not enjoy benefits that governors from counties that seem to not to side with the opposition. No. There will not be any differences.
No, there will be no difference. There will also be no. I've had these stories about people talking about. I had even some people in the social media and what I think in the last few days saying that because Charity Ngilu has touched some people who are from certain tribe, for example, that is why NCIC is moving fast. I mean, there are no sacred cows here. There are no Kenyans who don't have rights. Whether you are, even if you are coming from the ruling party or you are supporting the ruling party, you have the rights like any other person. And you are also subject to the law like any other person.
Okay. So, and maybe even just as we wind up on this whole matter of Kitui, one or two SMSs I'm getting from people is that they are supporting the ban on charcoal. So now, how do you navigate between a ban on charcoal, and you know where we find ourselves now as a country in terms of rain and forest and everything, and so for all intents and purposes, you know, from a larger perspective, the ban makes sense, that we need to, you know, conserve our environment. But on the other hand, the side effects. So how will NCIC now navigate on this matter?
I think people are just mixing things. I mean, there is no question about following the law in terms of, for example, the ban on charcoal and whatnot. Nobody is, I think, against that. What we are saying is that the law should be followed. If there are people who have broken the law, for example, if it is illegal to bring in charcoal, and there are people who have broken the law, then they should be dealt with in the normal way.
By the same law. By
the same law, yes. You don't go banning people's vehicles. I mean, there are many other laws which people break, and they are subjected to the law, the due process of the law. Why only in this case people are being subjected to mob justice and banning and the law of the jungle? I mean, the law should be followed. We are not saying that people should not be dealt with, those people who break the law.
Okay.
But they should be dealt with according to the law.
According to the law.
Yes.
Your body has been...
And in that way...
Go ahead.
In that way, then we are going to avoid the issue of... You see, the problem is that every action sometimes attracts some kind of reaction. So if you do a violent action, then you will get a violent reaction. And that is what we are saying it should not be done. But if you follow the law and you, for example, arrest those people and take them to court, I don't think the people in Kiambu, for example, will be demonstrating and deflating tires and what. I'm not saying that that is right also, because they are also wrong to do that.
But definitely choices have consequences.
Yes, two wrongs do not
make a right.
Do not make a right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your body has been in existence since 2008, I believe.
Yes. Since the law was put passed in 2008, but the structures were put in 2009. In
2009.
Yes, exactly.
If NCIC has been doing a good job, as I'm sure you want to tell us you have been, and we had your chairperson here another day, and he said NCIC is doing as best as it can to deal with cohesion in this country. Why are politicians still unafraid to make such comments in public, on the record? They defend themselves. It is as if they have no fear.
No, I think politicians are not unafraid.
They seem so.
I think you might have seen one or two high-profile cases of people, or some who are repeat offenders. Of course, we have seen that. And I think that in those cases, what should have been done, and we have advocated for that, is that this, for example, the courts should not have been lenient with these repeat offenders. The DPP, for example, has appealed several times for some of these people who are repeat offenders to be treated in a different way, but the courts keep on saying, you know, these people have constitutional rights. So as Kenyans, we must agree that we are the ones who made that bed. We are the ones who enacted that constitution, so we should abide by that constitution. You see, if we also, again, don't follow the constitution, then we will say that we are following the law of the jungle. So we have certain, of course, challenges which are affecting NCIC, but to a large extent, I think our action has been a deterrent. If you look at the 2010 referendum, for example, we did it smoothly, and people were a bit careful about spewing out hate speech. In 2013 also, I think there were not as many cases. In 2017, the cases were also not very many.
I wouldn't say not very many.
Yeah,
in fact, I have other case studies here. I don't know whether you really use the word deterrent. Yet, we wouldn't be here talking about what we are talking about.
You see, the problem is that Kenyans take one or two cases, and then they will amplify those things. That's the problem we have. But we don't have as many cases as we would have expected, maybe if the institution was not there, or if the law was not there. So you think
things would be worse if NCIC was not
I think so.
place.
That is what I believe.
No single conviction of a high-profile person. That doesn't worry you.
Well, convictions are done by the courts, not by NCIC.
But part of the process of the court is the case you presented
yes,
to the NCIC.
we have done that, and some of these cases have ended up in the... You know, people don't want to listen to the problems we have. So I don't want to belabor on that, but we have had a lot of challenges. Let me tell you, just give you one or two cases. Sometimes you take somebody to court in a magistrate's court. The person rushes to the High Court and gets an injunction, and it stays for 5 years. We have 2 cases in Mombasa, that of a senator and some MCAs. I think about 2 years now down the line, that injunction is still there by the High Court. What can we do ourselves? There are other cases also which are in the High Court here in Nairobi. I think some of them have taken even 4 years. So the legal process is very slow. I think, but the thing is, Kenyans would like to see blood immediately, and that has not happened, unfortunately. Okay.
I want to get your thoughts on 2 matters very briefly. Mid last month, or should it be, yes, mid-January, because we're in the last day of February, another paper reported that Nakuru Governor Lee Kinyanjui, and again, we're seeing a lot of county conflict, and Bahati MP Kimani Gonjiri accused Governor Jackson Mandago of discriminating against the Kikuyu community, many of whom are hawkers. They said that on a particular day, if these things happen, the hawkers problem might cause animosity if left unchecked. Are you concerned about the conflicts that we've been seeing in Uasin Gishu between hawkers and county askaris that escalated again last week, if I'm not wrong?
We are concerned because of the interpretation people are giving. I think initially...
Do you think the interpretation is wrong? What can you tell us about?
Anybody can give that interpretation. You see, the county government is saying that they are dealing with hawkers. Unfortunately, those hawkers who are being dealt with in that manner, I think, are predominantly from a certain tribe. So we are getting reactions from leaders from that tribe. So I think it should worry also the governor in Uasin Gishu to start thinking about how that issue of dealing with the hawkers is affecting cohesion. We have been in touch with the county commissioner.
Okay, you've been in touch with the county commissioner.
Yes, in Uasin Gishu. He told us that in the first instance where some hawkers were beaten, investigations were going on, and we need to find out how far things have gone. If the county officials used excessive force, for example, I think they should be dealt with according to the law. But I think it is the way people are politicizing this issue is not very good. And I would like to ask Honorable Mandago and the other leaders from for example, like there's a former MCA, I think Chomba, who is very, very central to the leadership among the Kikuyu people in Uasin Gishu. I think it's high time they start talking about how to bring about...
Are you investigating anyone there yet?
Not yet, but I think we need to probably start discussions so that we can have some kind of cohesion between the communities in Uasin Gishu. Okay.
Yeah. Again, you say that there are very few incidents, but I still have a list here. What are your thoughts on a section of Mount Kenya leaders led by Senate Deputy Speaker Kithure Kindiki stating publicly in a rally that they want the government to concentrate on development in Jubilee strongholds and ignore opposition zones that did not vote for the government in the last election? Again, I say, if NCIC is doing such a good job, why would leaders of such stature stand up in public and tell the government, ignore these zones, come and develop our zones? Does that make sense to you?
You see, the law is very, very narrow. I mean, the NCI Act, Section 13 and Section 62, they are very narrow. When it talks about hate speech or such things, it talks about abusive or threatening,
okay,
or abusive language, which is likely to lead to ethnic strife. So you have to look for, for example, a community which is targeted, not a block.
So and discrimination would not fit into this?
Yeah, it is discrimination, but you see, they have just uttered, they have not acted. So you have to wait for them to act on that so that you can take action in terms of, I can't remember the section, I think Section 4 of the NCI Act, which talks about discrimination on the basis of ethnicity. So somebody can talk, and say some of these things. But until that person acts, then there is nothing you can do. When the person acts...
What do you mean by acts? Give us an example.
What he's saying, if it is put into practice, for example, somebody puts it in the...
That if the government begins to discriminate against...
Yes. Then that is when we can start doing something about it.
But if NCIC was to condemn this, would it not make those in opposition zones feel safer? Because I'm sure, I mean, if I actually initially first saw this on social media, And I'm sure you have a monitoring team that looks at what's happening online, and the reactions of Kenyans were, they were like, NCIC needs to come in. How can you allow leaders to talk like this brazenly and publicly?
Yeah, honestly, I have not seen this.
Okay.
But we have, of course, a social media unit. As you said, we should have picked some of these things. Perhaps it just passed us. But as you say, it's important that we voice. And once in a while, we talk about these things. You know that when Governor Waititu talked about the 70-30 rule, which is a misinterpretation, of course.
This is about the leaders that should be in Kiambu, or the workers.
The workers. When he talked, yes,
indigenous.
Yes, when he talked about indigenous. And he was trying to allude to the County Government Act Section 62, which talks about the 70-30 rule. But that only applies to the employees in the county government. So when that happened, and Governor Waititu did that, and then we had also some rumors that Kilifi county government had done that, we issued a statement, a strong statement. And we have even just to confirm that the MCS had passed, because we were told that they passed a resolution or a motion or something, we requested for the Hansard. It took a bit of time, but I think a week ago or something like that, we have received the Hansard from county government of Kiambu, which we are trying to analyze.
If NCIC were given more power, would they give Kenyans the resource that they are asking for? You said Kenyans are begging for blood.
I think what we should do, Kenyans also should be, all Kenyans should be agents of NCIC, I think. Because what is happening, I know that NCIC has been given the task of dealing with the issue of cohesion and whatnot. But if we are all ethnicized, because we're getting more and more ethnicized. That's the problem we have now. We, for example, did a social cohesion index recently, I think about 2 years ago. And we found that especially the people who are the elite, the people who are more educated, are the ones who are driving this issue of ethnicity. So I think we have to start looking at our values and change this culture which is coming and creeping in.
Okay.
And if all of us work together, the leaders, the academics and all those people, even the young people, because young people themselves are perpetuating this thing. If you look at the social media, for example, you will find that young people who should have known better are the ones who are perpetuating the issue of ethnicity.
Okay.
So we should all work together. We will try to do our best ourselves. We have challenges, of course. We want to assure Kenyans that we will continue doing our best.
Okay.
We are asking for Parliament to assist us to deal with some of the challenges which we have, legal, financial, and whatever. But I think all Kenyans should also work together on this issue.
We know that there were numerous tribal and hateful remarks from various politicians in last year's elections. Not a single case has been prosecuted by the Commission. What is the status of, are there any people you're investigating from last year's election, briefly? How far are their cases? How long will it take? We know at some point you're investigating Moses Kuria. We know at some point you are even investigating NASA leader Raila Odinga, among other politicians. What happened to their cases?
Maybe if you give me specific cases, but I know that we...
Okay, are you, again, okay, go ahead.
Yes, I know that we started investigations on NASA leader, but we did not complete the process. There are reasons why we did that, and I don't want to explain that. It is, I think, in the interest of peace in this country and in the interest of cohesion. So that's why probably you have not seen anything on that front. And some of the other leaders that you had... But if you give me specific cases, maybe I can tell you... The last time your chairperson was here, there was a case, he showed us some documents. Some of the leaders included Moses Kuria, among others. Yes. How far are their cases? Yeah, those ones are still in court. I know that a number of them are in court. I know Honorable Ngunjiri, who I think... Nyeri Town. Is one of... No, Nakuru Town. Nakuru Town. Who was one of those people who had been said to have spewed some hate speech. We took him to court, and the case is still in court. I think it's supposed to come up for mention in the next few days. But the cases are still in court. Quite a number of them are still in court. Okay. Are you frustrated that they're seemingly just still stuck somewhere in the court process? The wheels of justice, I think, take time sometimes, and you can't push those wheels. But of course, it frustrates us because On the other hand, we have Kenyans here who are, putting a lot of pressure on us and think that we have not done anything.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to read you a quick final quote given by your chairperson. This was in an interview conducted before the 17th of June 2017. It was an interview with a Fred Olwoch of the East African, the newspaper. Your chairperson said, and I quote, "We have a leadership that believes that a cohesive nation is against their political interests," end quote. I don't know if you're familiar with that statement.
Yes.
If you are, why would he say this? And why is NCIC still working if your own chairperson believes that the leaders of this country are not interested in cohesion? They're only interested in it when it suits their purposes. When it doesn't.
I think he was just throwing a challenge, and this is a reality, Maura. When you want to get some more votes and you become a warlord. That's how people work in this country, quite a number of them, unfortunately. And so when you are seen to be doing some of these things, you become a hero among your community.
Because you are defending their interests.
Yes, you are defending the interests of that community. That's what people believe. So that's what the chairman is talking about. It's unfortunate, but I think leaders should get above such things. And
so why should Kenyans still continue to trust in the NCIC if they are fighting a losing battle against the leadership that is...
We are not saying that we are fighting a losing battle, but it's important to bring out some of these issues so that Kenyans can be pondering about this. You start discussions and start thinking. I mean, we should ask ourselves, where did the rain start beating us? So that as we go forward, then we can make amends as Kenyans, not just NCIC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's Hassan Mohammed, CEO of NCIC, finding time to be here with us. A lot of cohesion issues that he tells us they are following up, and I've been able to ask him a bit about some of them. We wait to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. You promised us some reports to be released. You promised us possible people being charged in court, and I'm sure the public is keenly following this. Thank you so much, CEO, for finding time to be here with us.
Thank you.
You're watching Citizen Extra. Many thanks, Steve, for staying tuned. We take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.